So there are a total of 26 towers in Tower Defense X, starting from a very basic Tower Ranger to a large and very cool battleship and to the most expensive tower, the Golden Juggernaut. In this video we are here to rank all of these towers. I will tell you guys my own opinions on them. This video took me a really long time to make. I literally spent too much time making this video. Don't forget to subscribe and thumbs up. There are 5 different tiers in my tier list, starting from the D tier and ending with the S tier. But anyways, in the D tier, there is only one tower, which is the Ranger. It's a tower you get for free when you join the game for the first time. It doesn't have that much of an use, however, the DPS it does is just amazing for a starter tower. You can win the intermediate mode with the starter tower of the game, that's crazy, right? Also, it has those cool Phoqus, but probably you don't have it because it's a very rare thing in the game. This tower has a special grenade ability on the bottom pad, which makes it really useful. But the reason I put it in the D tier is that the tower is just useless when you get better towers in the game. However, the tower literally does so much DPS. This tower is the starter tower, man, oh my gosh, how can it be that good? When we come to the C tier, there are 4 different towers, starting with the Cry Ranger. Cry Ranger is a tower which you are not able to obtain anymore. It was available in the Christmas event for free. But this tower is a better version of the Ranger tower. It's not that useful except for freezing quick enemies. That's why it is the worst tower in the C tier. Yep, it is a bit pointless if you ask me. Next up, there is the Sniper. It's actually a tower I don't really like and it is not the very best. And it is the first tower which requires a level. You need to be level 15 to buy it. The tower can pierce through enemies on the bottom of the upgrade pass. It has a very huge range on the bottom pad and it also can pierce through enemies. There is also a cool skin of this tower, the Neko Sniper skin. I think you guys will love it. But the reason I put this tower in the C tier is that I don't really like the tower itself and it's not that useful. The next tower in the C tier is the Mine Layer, a tower which is loved by most of the people just because of the look. And actually the tower is not that bad, but it doesn't have anything special. Only thing you can use it for is placing so many mine layers in the back and creating a path with hundreds of mines. And it can deal so much damage to the enemies with the mines. Especially the bottom path is really good because of the burn damage. But yep, it's still very decent, so here you go. The C tier for sure. Here we are on the last tower in the C tier, the Missile Trooper. Again a great tower if you are new to the game. However, when you get better in the game, the tower becomes useless. There are better options such as the artillery for splash damage. We will get to that later in the video, so stay tuned for it. The bottom pad of this tower is actually really good. It's the only thing which makes this tower useful in the late game if you ask me. Top pad is also great, but I didn't use it for like ages now. I remember using the bottom pad a few months ago. But still, it's a decent tower, so it can be in the C tier. Things start to get better from now on. Here we are on the B tier. There are 5 towers in this tier. We start with the Cry Blaster. We can see it as a better Cry Ranger, but with more freeze abilities. It is really good for strategies, but except for the strategies, the tower is not that important. The tower can freeze even the bosses in the game. It's kinda a bit hard and you need to place so many max level Cry Blasters for that. And also, it has start reduction on the bottom pad max level, so it's kinda useful for freezing bosses in the game. However, other than that, there isn't anything important about this tower. Next up, there is the Toxinator, which is a great and very cool tower in my opinion. This tower is the only tower which has a gas cloud to damage the enemies. However, in my opinion, it's not that good at all. It used to be good before the huge nerf it had. Nowadays, people use it for the ability of the bottom pad. The bottom pad Toxinator's ability is really good. You can use it on the bosses and make all towers deal more damage to the boss. So because of that, it's still kinda useful. However, other than that, the top pad max level is so expensive now, so no one really cares about it. It's still a decent tower, so it can be in the B tier. After the Toxinator, there is a very common tower, the Laser Gunner, which used to be one of the most common towers in the game. It requires 35 level for you to be able to buy it. This tower can pierce through enemies on the top pad. On the bottom pad, it goes for more single target DPS and it has an ability on the max level. The ability makes all enemies unstealed and can deal 250 damage. The range of the ability is kinda large too, so it's very useful. However, after the laser protection got added to the game, this tower lost popularity. Even the Eradicator MK2 has laser protection now, so RIP Laser Gunner. It used to be the most common tower in the game, but nowadays no one really uses it. But still, for its reputation, it can be in the B tier. The next tower in the list is actually one of my favorite towers in the game, the Grenadier. I don't know, but I love the way this guy looks, man, and it is very useful for speedrunning too. It can deal so much splash damage on the top pad max level. On the bottom pad max level, the tower can stun enemies with electric grenades. It can be used for any mod in the game, especially the early levels of this tower are very cost efficient. You can destroy the early game very easily with this tower because it really deals so much splash damage compared to the missile trooper. Yep, probably everyone thinks that this tower is better than the missile trooper in many different ways, so it can be in the B tier. For the last tower in the B tier, we have the medic tower. You didn't expect this, right? Because the medic is very expensive. It's 20k gold in the shop, which makes it one of the most expensive towers in the game. However, in my opinion, the tower is not the best. It doesn't have that much of an use in the game. It's only useful for the abilities. The ability of the top pad makes a tower invincible for a time, and the bottom pad makes a tower deal more damage for an amount of time. It may seem like good. The bottom pad max level is really fantastic because it can triple the damage of nearly every tower in the game. But it doesn't work with the warship, so a huge L for this tower, right? I mean, I expected more from this tower. It wasn't like what I expected it would be, so I got disappointed. Things really start to get so much better from now on. Here we are on the A tier. There are a total of 9 towers in this list. That is so many towers, right? Because yep, I think so many towers in the game deserve to be in this list. Let's start with the first tower of the A tier, the Patrol Boat. Okay, so you may not agree me on this tower, but it is actually very nice. It is the first naval type tower in the game before the warship. The top pad has very huge range and a passive ability. It shoots a missile and deals a great amount of damage. That's actually very good because of the range it has. The top pad also deals splash damage, so it can kill the armored enemies very easily. Bottom pad Patrol Boat is basically a flamethrower. It is very good for crowd control. However, the bad thing about this tower is that this is the only tower in the game which doesn't have stat addiction in the entire game. If it has stat addiction, this tower could be one of the best towers in the game. Next up, we have the Operator. Again, you probably didn't expect this. This tower may seem like it's cheap and a tower for new players. However, it can be useful in many other ways too. The tower has a very great cost efficiency overall. That can make this tower even better than the Golden Ranger in some cases. However, the tower can barely deal in damage to the enemies which have bullet protection, so it's not that good. You need a side tower like a Grenadier. It also has a very cool skin, the Cat Girl Operator. She is very cool, especially the bottom part of her looks very nice. I can't ignore the ability it has too. It can spam a Humvee which looks very old compared to the Humvees we have in the game. This tower needs a small rework, but still is a very great tower, so it deserves to be in the A tier. After the Operator, we have the Barracks. This is the first tower spawner tower in the game before the Armored Factory. It was added in the first update of TDX and it was one of my favorite towers. It is still very cool. You can place so many barracks and it's very useful in the mid and late game with the rail troopers and flamethrowers. And it can spawn Reuter, which is a very cool guy. Reuters are pretty good because of their health and their spawn rate. This tower is a clear A tier tower in my opinion. Next we have the Shotgunner. The reason I put him in the A tier is that after it had the new rework, this tower became really good. Now it's very useful for speedrunning more than before. Also it has 2 different abilities on the max levels. It can heal nearby towers or unstun them. It is still pretty useful in the speedruns. It is kinda very cost efficient and it looks way better now after the huge rework a few months ago. However, still the tower is not the best, but still it can be in the A tier for sure. So the artillery. It was one of my favorite towers in the game before the warship. No one really uses this tower, but it's still pretty good. You need to be level 64 to be able to buy this tower, which may take you a very long time. It's actually very good because you can aim it yourself. That means it has stat addiction for free and is pretty good against grenadiers. Especially on the top at max level, when you put it on the random, it can deal so much splash damage. The bottom pad is the Skyhawk artillery, which is very expensive, but the splash radius of this guy is very large and it looks awesome. I think because of those, we can say this tower is a clear A tier. After the artillery, here is another tower which is really overpowered, the Railgunner. It can deal 8k damage on the bottom pad max level. Top pad goes for faster reload speed and it can pierce through enemies. Don't forget that the top pad has stat addition when the bottom pad doesn't have it. Bottom pad is a great boss killer. I really recommend this tower for both expert and honest modes. It can be really useful. But the bad thing about this tower is that you are not able to do so much with this tower. It's really bad on the early levels because of the reload speed. It has a very cool skin with the silly face on it. I really love this Valentine skin, it's very cool. Another bad thing about this tower is that it's very expensive, man. However, it is still an useful tower, so yep, it's a clear A tier. You probably didn't expect to see the Golden Ranger in the A tier, but yep, here it is. The first golden tower we will talk about. This guy is really expensive in the shop. It is literally nearly 40k gold in the shop, which makes it one of the most expensive towers in the game. It's a very good tower, especially for early and mid game. You can even win the expert mode by only Golden Ranger. The bottom pad is so much better than the top pad. On the bottom pad max level, it has a grenade ability which can stun even the bosses, and it deals so much damage. However, the tower is not that cost efficient. It is a great damage dealer for most of the game. However, it is very expensive. So that's why I put it in the A tier. It is still a great tower and I really like it, but there are way better towers than it. Next up, we have one of the most popular towers in the game, the Juggernaut. It is so much better than the Golden Ranger because of the cost efficiency. It's very cheap compared to the Golden Ranger and it has so much more DPS. On the bottom pad it can deal insane amount of DPS, but it has a small range. On the top pad it ignores the bullet resistance and it has a very large range. However, the DPS of it is nothing compared to the bottom pad. By the way, the tower has very cool skins like the Ghost Juggernaut. It is really cool, man, like I really love this tower overall. It looks a bit old, however it is a really good tower in the game. I recommend buying this tower as your first main DPS tower. It can literally destroy nearly every mod in the game, but it's kinda not that good in the honest mode, but still it's an A tier tower. Here we go, another woman tower, the EDJ. She can buff the nearby towers very nicely. She is the best tower in the A tier. She buffs the range of the towers, the fire rate of the towers, and it can give the towers a great amount of discount. Without the EDJ, most of the things are not possible. It's a very good support tower which I really like using it in the game. It helps out everything, like the Juggernaut becomes so much better if you use an EDJ with them. Can't forget the Tower Battles EDJ skin, by the way. I hate to put it in this video because of the song. Just listen to it and see, man. However, it doesn't give any discount to the last upgrades of the towers. So that's why it is a A tier tower but not an S tier tower. Here we are on the last tier, the S tier. This list may make you a bit confused, but let me talk about it first. First of all, we start with the John. You probably didn't expect that at all. John is a great tower, man, trust me. On the top pad, it can deal so much damage and is very cost efficient. Especially the max level of the top pad is awesome. It deals so much DPS and it can buff the damage of nearby towers by 50%. So this tower is a great tower for both DPS and buffing towers. The bottom pad is very useful for speedrunning. The max level has an axe ability which literally deals 2000 damage and it is very useful against bosses. The shotguns of the bottom pad deal so much damage too, and it has a passive ability which is the laser turret. But it doesn't have stat addiction, so that's a bit bad. That is why it is the lowest S tier tower. You need to make it top at max level for stat addiction, which will cost you so much. It has a woman skin too. You probably like this skin, it's very cool. Next up, we have a new tower, the XWM turret. This tower is literally one of the best towers for DPS in the game. It deals so much DPS on the top at max level. And it can be a huge missile launcher turret on the bottom at max level with a massive range. Do you see this range, man? Oh my god, it's literally insane. The top pad is more recommended because it can deal so much more DPS overall and it ignores the bullet protection. Also, it has stun immunity and stat addiction. But this tower cannot be affected by any support tower except for the medic. And other than that, the max levels are good, but the early levels are not that important, so no one really cares about it. So that's why it's kinda at a low position in the S tier. I mean, this tower is still very awesome and I really like using it. The second golden tower, the Golden Juggernaut. Did you expect it to be that low in the S tier? It's the third lowest tower in the S tier. You know, this tower is the dream of many people and it's the most expensive tower in the shop, but in the game too. Literally the max level is so expensive, man. Also, it had an important nerf before. The bottom pad still can deal thousands of DPS and it can be affected by support towers. However, the thing that this tower has a laser ammo makes it kinda bad. There are many enemies in the game which have laser protection and the bottom pad is kinda pointless against them. Top pad ignores the laser protection, by the way, and it has literally a huge range. So that's why this tower is a clear S tier, but not the best tower. I really love the tower, it's very cool and it does look awesome. It is a very great tower, but again, it's not that cost efficient, so I guess it's decent. Next up, we have the second spawner tower in the game, the Armored Factory. This tower is actually my favorite tower. I mean like my third favorite tower maybe. It can spawn armored vehicles with so much health and it's very cost efficient. Especially the MRAP on the bottom pad is very great because of splash damage. It can destroy literally everything, man. It's very helpful for the early game, but on the max level this tower spams an M1 Abrams with 6k health. It's very overpowered. The top pad is cheaper compared to the bottom pad. On the top pad max level, it spams an M2 Bradley, which is a very great crowd controller. It deals so much damage with the missiles. Also, the M2 Bradley has a very large range and this tower is literally a tower you require for every strategy in the game at the moment. So that's why it's kinda a clear S tier. I am in love with this tower, man. Like, man, this tower literally looks incredible, man. The armored vehicles and everything. It's a very amazing tower and I really recommend buying this tower. Here we are on the 3 strongest towers. What towers are they? What do you think, man? Let's start with the third best tower. So yep, it is the warship. Did you expect that? Probably you didn't. But yep, this tower is very good. Like, man, it's very good. It requires 100 level and that will take you hours of grinding. There is not that many people who have this tower and it is the largest tower in the entire game with its huge body. It also deals insane amount of damage. Top pad is a huge battleship with insane splash damage. The bottom pad is a great damage dealer for bosses, but it is still nice for the crowd control. However, the tower is very expensive and it can't be affected by any support tower in the game. It is really my favorite tower and I really like this tower since the first time I bought it. But the next 2 towers we will see are kinda more useful. The second best tower is the farm. Yes, the farm. The reason I put it right here is that without farm, nothing is that possible. There is no tower in the game which can make you have extra income, except the farm of course. And without farm, you can't afford expensive towers that easily. The farm is just required for everything. You need to farm or you will be very poor on everything. So yep, I think it deserves to be the second best tower in the game. Especially the top pad can be very useful. It can give you so much cash if you place it very close to your expensive towers. But yep, there is not that much we can talk about this tower. It's a great tower because it can give you an extra income of cash. So the best tower in the game. You probably won't agree me on this, but I put the Slimmer as the best tower in the game. Before you go to the comments and say your opinion, please listen to what I will say. The tower is a very new tower and most of the people think that it is very overrated. However, this tower is just incredible, man. It is the first level melee tower in the game and it requires 75 level for you to be able to buy it. I mean, I love this tower, man, especially the top at max level is awesome. The ability it has is just insane. It can stun even the bosses with its ability, but it doesn't have stat addiction on the top pad. However, the bottom pad has stat addiction but is not able to stun bosses. Bottom pad is awesome for stunning regular enemies, by the way. Top pad also can stun the enemies and it can hit so many enemies at a time. So it's a great support tower and a great damage dealer. You can speedrun the expert mode so easily with this tower. It's just awesome, man, trust me. You may think that it's not that good, but it's really good, man, for the strategies and speedruns. I really love this tower. It can deal thousands of damage if there are so many enemies. And yep, literally it can also stun the enemies. What else can we want from this tower, man? It is clearly the best tower in the game in my opinion at the moment. In the future that may change, we will see when the new towers release. However, what do you think of my tower tier list? I spent a very long time to make this video. I had it in my mind for a long time and I think the video became really great. Maybe in the future I may make a video like this again, but a very long time later, man. Literally this video took me ages, man. Trust me, it was hard. You can tell me what you think about my tier list in the comments. I will always read the comments, but I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks to everyone who did help me for creating this video. We spent a long time to make this video become real. It took me days of work, man. But anyways, thank you for watching until now. Have a good day or night and see you in the next video.